Hello, good afternoon. Nice to see everybody. It's Chef Meg here, coming to you live. This time, obviously, not from Canada. Still in the jungle, but definitely not Rhythmia, not Fruits, not Roots, not Tamarindo area, not Playa Avellanas. I'm coming to you live from Nosara. Once again, I was here live a few weeks back at my friend's restaurant, and today I'm coming to you live from a little hotel in Playa Palada, which is part of Guiones, and I'm going to be doing my demo live from here today. So I just wanted to start outside and give you a little bit of view of the jungle. Very different than the location that I'm usually live at from Rhythmia. I'm here with an amazing group of yogis from Canada, and I'm nourishing their souls. They just arrived last night, so I just finished lunch with all of them. There they are. They're just chilling. What up? We're live on Facebook. So we're just wrapping up lunch right now. They just ate, and we're gonna head into the kitchen now, and we are doing plant-based queso. Pardon the lights, this thing adjusts here. We're doing plant-based queso part 2. You can see it's really hot. I'm glowing right now. It's very, very hot here in Nosara. But like I said, we're doing plant-based cheese part 2. So I'm just going to set you up right here. Look at that. Seamless. Absolutely seamless. Make sure I can get all of the stuff in the view that we need. Perfect. All right. So, welcome. Welcome to my next kitchen, my new kitchen. Oh, I also want to do a little show off that I've got Marilyn Monroe with me this afternoon, because if you've been to Rhythmia, you know that I wear my sparkly Marilyn Monroe tank top on Sundays, whether it is working in the kitchen or teaching yoga. I'm all about the sparkles on Sunday Fun Day. So, if someone can give me a heads up, I'm going to be using my iPhone here for the video, but I do have my computer set up behind me here as well, so I can check to see if anyone's got questions and stuff as we go along. But if someone can please do me a favor right now, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down about audio. So I want to make sure that the audio is going to be okay for you guys to hear everything that I'm talking about as we're doing this. Sorry about the adjustments here, guys. I just want to make sure that we're getting everything in screen that we need to. So Rhythmia is live now. That's me. I don't have my dear Kenneth with me this afternoon, who typically helps me with this stuff. So we're going to do the best that we can. Costa Rica Pura Vida. Let's see, how do I find my live video? Here we go. Rhythmia's live now. Let's watch it. Watching myself. Probably going to be on a little bit of a delay. I'm going to get this sun light out of the way. Okay, so now that I have yabbered on about nothing, as I usually do, we can get started. So, anyone, thumbs up on the audio. Can anyone let me know if the audio is doing well? That would be super duper appreciated. Audio good, audio good. Hi from Finland. Audio is good! Woohoo! Okay, so if you tuned in last week, you know that we did vegan cheeses. I don't have my recipe list here. Yes, I do. So last week we started out with the vegan Parmesan, I believe. We also did a vegan feta, and we did a vegan cream cheese, I believe, and a vegan sunflower seed cheese. I don't even need to check my notes. I remember that off the top of my head. So today we're going to actually do 2 recipes, but we're going to be talking about a few different components. The first thing we're going to be doing is a raw vegan cheesecake. It's going to be a strawberry cheesecake. And the second thing we're going to be doing is a raw vegan gluten-free macaroni and cheese that we're going to utilize some of the Parmesan that we made last week. Sound good? Awesome. Leanne Russell says audio is good. Thank you. Justin says audio is good. Beautiful. Craig Malone. Yo, Craig. Welcome. You're watching from Australia. It's Monday your time, correct? Am I right on that? I think so. Jennifer Sodini is watching. Jennifer, hi Jennifer. How are you? I hope you're good. And I see that Lorena is here. All of my friends. I'm so excited to have you here from sunny Nosara, Costa Rica. Let's talk cheese. Okay, so we're doing the strawberry cheesecake, as I mentioned. And when I arrived here in Nosara last night, I think I've talked about this a few times in videos, I always forget something, usually an ingredient. So I forgot one. Well, I ran out of one of those, which we'll get to in a minute. But I also forgot a piece. So a piece of one of my equipment. So I like to use my food processor, which you guys have seen. I've used it on many, many videos already. But I wanted to use this to make the base of our cheesecake. But there's a piece underneath here that needs to be screwed in so that you can put this on your machine and have it function, and I forgot that piece at home. I thought it was maybe in my suitcase, and it's not. So I haven't had my food processor to use for any of my recipes. So we're kind of winging it today, and I think that this is instead of going out and buying a new food processor or borrowing from someone, I thought it would be a good lesson in, substitution. So what I've gone ahead and done to get this crust ready is I've gotten just 3 simple ingredients. The recipe that I'm going to send you is the same 3 ingredients, but the process is going to be a little bit different. If you have a machine handy, if you don't, this works out as well. So the first ingredient I have here is just some almond flour. You could use whole almonds. If you're doing this in the food processor, all you need to do is throw the ingredients into the food processor and process it till the cows come home. But today what I've gone and done is I've powdered up, and not super fine, I still want some texture, but I've just, in my Vitamix, powdered up these almonds so their texture. And what we're going to be going for is kind of like a raw vegan graham cracker crumb type texture in the end. So that's my almonds. That's the first ingredient. Second ingredient is just shredded coconut. Dun, dun, dun. Whoops, and I just threw it all over the place. I'm a disaster. No, I'm not. I'm not a disaster. Changing my story. I'm blissfully excited, and that's why I'm spilling things. And the third ingredient, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about here, is a date paste. So what I've gone ahead and done here is I've taken a handful of dates and just put them in my Vitamix blender with water and vanilla, just enough water to blend. And I've made this paste. I made it this morning, and I did it nice and early so it had some time to set, because what I want to show you the texture. So look at that. It's like super, super thick. Now date paste is something that I've been making for a long time, and I learned about it, when I was doing my plant-based chef training back in the day. But it's something really good to have under your belt as far as techniques, because a lot of people aren't eating sugar these days. So this is a whole food sweetener. All this is dates, water, and a bit of vanilla. So you're not only getting the sweetness component, but we're also going to be getting all of the vitamins and minerals and fiber and all of that other good stuff that comes along with it. And what I'm using, the reason why I made the paste today is because I'm not using a machine to put this crust together. I'm going to be hand mixing it. So this is going to be kind of like the glue that's going to hold my crust together. So I'm just going to take those 3, though I guess it's 4 ingredients because I have the vanilla in the date paste. But I'm going to add them into my bowl here. So that's our almonds. So our ground almonds, coconut. Just tossing it all into a bowl here. And then I'm just going to add a bit of this paste, about a half of it. And then I'm going to get in there with the spatula and get mixing. And what I'm looking for here is just a texture that looks like it's sticking together. Because what we're going to be doing is putting this into our pan and then pressing it firmly just to form a really thin crust for our cheesecake. If we were doing this in the food processor, we would have just tossed the whole almonds, the coconut, and some whole dates and or raisins, as per the recipe that I'm going to post in the comments. And you would just process that until it becomes a texture that's sticking together. So this looks really, really good. I'm going to come over and show you guys in the camera. Sorry, I didn't do that much small talk off the top this morning. I hope everyone's doing well. What are we? We're in February already. I don't know about you guys, but I felt like January was a really long month. I'm not complaining, but wow. There we go. So that's the texture. It's nice and sticky. Don't worry if it's a little bit wet, because what we're going to do eventually is we're going to freeze this. And what I have here is my little torte pan or cake pan, and the one thing I love about this, especially when I'm doing frozen desserts, is this little insert in the center here comes out, so it's really easy for popping out the cake once it's set. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put my filling down in the bottom here, and I'm just going to spread it out into a super thin layer. I don't know about you guys, but when I eat cheesecake, I prefer the cheesecakey filling much over the crust, even when I'm eating traditional cheesecake, which I love it. Like full graham cracker crust, cream cheese and egg filling with lots of lemon and canned cherry topping. I mean, not the most ideal as far as nutritional value, but delicious nonetheless, and I will never stop eating a cheesecake like that. There's a time and a place for everything in our diet. I'm sure you've been watching the videos. You've heard all about my rants about intuitive eating and not making up food stories and rules around food. And I've been talking a lot about that. There's been a lot of guests through Red Meal lately, that are in the process or just learning how to redevelop their relationship with food. And, we talk a lot about the idea that food is no longer just food in most of our world. Food has become good or bad, and there's so many stories around the different foods we eat. I know that cheesecake, for me, cherry cheesecake is not only, quote unquote, an old comfort food from when I was a kid, a favorite dish, But it was, for a long time, I deemed it as a bad food and an off-limit food and a never-again food, which is just crazy. Now that I have put that on my good list, which is every food for me is on my good list, I don't really feel like, I'm not concerned about it. I don't feel like I need to if I do have it as an option, I don't feel like I need to binge on it, because it's not like it's a forbidden food that I'm never going to be able to have again. It's always an option. So if I go out and there's cheesecake on the menu, maybe I'll order it, maybe I won't, but I'll know that the opportunity and the option is always there, no matter what. So you can see I've really pressed that in there thin. And I'm going to take a moment here to check on the comments here. Hi Carmen. Carmen Lieber says hi. Justin Luther says looking forward to trying the whole Rhythmia life-changing program, planning for next year. Yeah, Justin, we can't wait to have you. Carolyn Zappala is here. Doronda's here. Super cool, guys. I recognize so many names. I love this. So excited to have you with us. Again, if you're just tuning in, I am obviously clearly not live from Rhythmia today. I'm here in Nosara, Costa Rica, where I'm catering a retreat. Hey, Kenneth is here. Okay, so Kenneth is typically here to help me with this whole commenting and seeing who's live with us aspect. Since I'm not in Nosara and he's at Rhythmia, I'm glad that you joined us online here, Kenneth. And it was Kenneth's birthday yesterday, everybody. You know Kenneth, who you see every week typically with me. It was his birthday yesterday. So let's all say happy birthday to Kenneth live on the Rhythmia Facebook page. Kenneth is my number two, my team partner, my partner in crime at Rhythmia, and I couldn't do it without him. And since I'm not there right now, Kenneth is there holding the place together. So thank you, Kenneth. Happy birthday to you. Carol Mason says hi from Fraser Valley, BC. Ooh. Ellen says hello from California. So many people watching from all over the world. I love this. Okay, so here is our crust filling. And if you're just tuning in, again, this was just almonds, coconut, and date paste, which was just dates that I blended in the high-speed blender with a bit of warm water and vanilla. If you were doing this recipe in the food process, you wouldn't need to do the paste process. You could just use whole dates in the food process to get the texture you desire. So the next thing we're going to do is our filling. So for this, I am going to use my blender. And some of you may be asking, well, if you have a high-powered blender there, why didn't you use that to make the base? Instead, because my food processor wasn't working. Main reason being is when you're blending, you typically need things that are quite liquid in order for it to come together. If the recipe is too dry, you're just going to end up getting the ingredients are just going to end up hanging out and not actually blending. For example, I did a hummus in this Vitamix blender for lunch today, and it took me a whole lot of scraping down the sides constantly because there's not a lot of liquid in hummus to help keep it blending. So I prefer the food processor for things like chunky pestos, like tapenades, any sort of crust or crumble or anything like that. I prefer the food processor over the Vitamix blender. Gloria, we're live on Facebook, on Rhythmia's Facebook page. You want to come say hi? There's usually about 12,000 people watching. Come on in. Hi, this is Gloria. She works here at Nosara B&B. And Francisco, you want to come say hi as well? Yeah, I always have people come say hi. This is Francisco. He's one of the other chefs here. He just finished up the retreat that ended yesterday, and I took over the kitchen. So I've got the run of the place here, but these guys are amazing support and super sweet. So say hi to the whole world. People from Finland to Australia are watching right now. Hi, everybody. Pura Vida. Pura Vida. Hey. All right, so back to the recipe. Let's see if I have any other notes here. I've got someone from Toronto. Jason is saying happy birthday to Kenneth. That's amazing, you guys. I'm super excited about this. Then we have the whole family watching, and now we're going to make the filling for our cheesecake. So, the recipe that I'm going to be giving you guys after the live today is based with cashews. But I told you at the beginning that I ran out of an ingredient, and I've been using my cashews for many different things over the last 2 days already because this is a primarily plant-based vegan retreat that I'm catering. So I've actually substituted my cashews for macadamia nuts. If anyone is watching from Costa Rica, you're probably like, whoa, Megan, that's crazy because macadamia nuts are super expensive here. I'll tell you, this bowl here was $18 worth of macadamia nuts. Wowza! But macadamia nuts are a really great option when it comes to making vegan cheeses because they cream down really smooth. They have really, gentle flavors. You can mix and match with different flavorings and things like that. So my recipe calls for 2 cups. I'm going to do a little bit more because I want a thicker crust, but you follow the recipe and then play around with it afterwards. So I have my macadamia nuts in there, and this is going to be a strawberry cheesecake. So my next ingredient is some fresh strawberries. Dun, 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 dun. So these are just some really beautiful sweet strawberries, and the recipe calls for 1.5, so I'm going to do about double of that again. super good. So that's our base, macadamia nuts and strawberries. The next secret ingredient is maple syrup. I brought this back from Canada the last time I visited because it's tough to get here and slightly expensive. And I love to have my own protein stash at all times. I use maple syrup in many different capacities. I like putting it in my coffee. I like making coconut bacon. Oh my gosh, it's heavenly. I like putting it in my sweets. So the recipe that I'm going to give you calls for about a half a cup for a single recipe, so I'm going to do a little bit more. And now whenever I use macadamia nuts, I tend to put in a little bit more sweetener in general because I feel like they don't have the same sweetness as a cashew. All right, perfect. The next ingredient, coconut oil. And I just got this little bottle that I picked up just for this live. It's 100% local, made in Costa Rica. Doesn't say exactly where, but it is made in Costa Rica. The recipe calls for 1/3 cup. And this is going to help make it really rich and creamy, but it's also going to help it set because coconut oil, when it is cold in the fridge or in the freezer, it solidifies because it is a saturated fat, but a good kind, an MCT, beautiful good kind. So that's going to help set up our cheesecake. The next ingredient, juice from a lemon, a half a lemon. So I've already gone ahead and pre-juiced. I'm going to put that in there, and that's just going to help brighten up the flavor. I don't need to add vanilla because I put vanilla in my crust, but I am going to add in a pinch of salt that I've already included in this little bowl. And what's in this bowl? It's beets. Beets, you say? Yes, beets. And the only reason I'm having a conversation with myself. The only reason I'm putting in the beets, guys, I'm giving it the beets, is for color. Because quite often I find when I'm blending a lot of nuts with a fruit, the color doesn't quite pick up the way I want it. So this would probably be a nice light pink currently, but I'm going to add in these beets just to give it a bit more of a rich color, like a deep, rich strawberry color. And that's it. And we're going to put that on the food processor for now. And we will add some water if we need. Sorry, not the food processor, the blender. Can you guys still see me? Yeah, you can. Beautiful. Okay, so what I was just saying earlier about sometimes when recipes aren't really like a lot of liquid, they have a hard time blending. Oh, yummy. This is a good example. I mean, it's pretty liquidy, but it's mostly nuts. So there's kind of an air pocket that's formed above the blade here because it is such a high-powered blade. So what I'm doing here is I've just stopped and I'm giving it a good little mix around. And then I'm going to go ahead and put it back on the blender. And this is what I did about 97 times this morning when I was making hummus. Not quite 97, like 94. From Kelowna. Hello, Marina. Diana, I hope I'm saying that right. Hi from Toronto, she says. Super great. I love all the Canadians. I heard it's pretty cold there right now. My group that I'm catering this retreat for, say they're from Canada, and they said it was like minus 20 degrees Celsius or something like that yesterday. Let's give this a little taste. Needs a little bit more sweet. Oh, you know what I'm going to add? I'm not making this vegan at this point because I'm going to add a bit of honey. It's vegan. I think I've talked about that in the past, that even when I was plant-based, fully plant-based, I still loved bee products. So I always said that I was vegan. I'm going to add a bit more vanilla extract as well. Just to big up the flavors, as Jamie Oliver would say. And then I'm going to put this back into the blender. Sorry about the noise here, guys, with this. Scrape, and then I think we're going to be good to go. I like my cheesecakes not too super sweet. And the other thing is that I'm going to be serving this It's on this nice sweet date-based crust, but I'm also going to be serving this with some sort of fruit compote when it comes to plating it. And I'll post a picture of that to my Facebook page and my Instagram so you guys can see how I plate it. Whoop, I'm cutting the head off. Look at the headless Maryland sequence shirt cooking. I'll post pictures on my Instagram at Mac Wellness, as well as on my personal Facebook page and my business Facebook page, and perhaps I'm sure Rhythmia might share those as well so you can see the final product tonight, because we won't be able to show you the final product of this today because it needs to set. Ooh, it looks like we made the absolute perfect amount of filling, you guys. I'm just going to give this a rinse. I'll sing for you while I'm over here. No, I've been listening to a lot of Shakira this morning, though. But I won't force you to listen to that. So I'm just rinsing out my Vitamix. You can hear the water running, I'm sure. Brilliant Me. And the only reason I'm rinsing this is because I need it for my next recipe. I don't know if you could hear anything I was saying while I was over at the sink, but Brilliant Me is what I'm going to share with you. Decided that I'm doing this retreat all week. I'm cooking breakfast, lunch, and dinner for this group, and I decided I'm not going to hire any staff. Normally I used to have assistants to help me with my dishes and my prep work, but because I haven't done one of these in a year, this is my last one that I'm probably ever going to do, I decided I'm going to do it on my own. I'm going to just enjoy the kitchen and listen to music and be very meditative, but I'm already on day one, and I'm already feeling a little bit tired from hunching over the counters in the sink all day, so I'll probably end up hiring someone to help me with the dishes. I'm not going to lie. George Bell is in the house. Hey, George. So nice to see you, George. I miss you so much. You're such a sweet, sweet energy to have at Rhythmia. Kenny Birch says, yes, it's a great kitchen. How cute. Yeah, Maggie, the kitchen is super cute, isn't it? I love working in this little space. And I get to listen to the monkeys and the birds and everything outside the windows. Okay, so look at that. There's our cheesecake. So I've just gone and smoothed the top a little bit and then into the freezer with that. Because I think I showed you that the bottom, of this plate pops out. I'm going to be a little bit careful when I put it in the freezer because I have in the past gone through the trouble to make a cheesecake like this and then picked up the tray from underneath and like popped the bottom up to the top and the whole cheesecake kind of exploded at the top. So we want to avoid that. So I'm just going to put the tray on top of a plate and then I'm going to put this in my freezer and we're going to cross our fingers that this will be ready for when I serve dinner tonight at 7 o'clock, which I'm certain it will. So in the freezer, I'm actually just behind the camera right now putting this in the freezer. A bada boom, bada bing. And let that set. Now the other option you could do for this, guys, is and what I often do when I'm doing these retreats is I use a muffin tin. And I'll line each muffin tray with a paper liner. And you can get like festive, colorful, sparkling polka dot stripes and all of that. And then I'll make little mini individual sized cheesecakes and then serve those up. And then I'll just take my plate, put a like little swoosh of some sort of compote or a jam underneath, the cheesecake on top, and then like a coconut whipped cream or something. And it's a really beautiful individual serving. So next up is going to be our vegan cheesecake. I'm going to get this stuff out of the way. So again, super easy recipe. This one's going into our Vitamix blender once again. So I'm going to make sure that I'm not telling tales. So I'm going to get my recipe here. So the first ingredient for the base of our cheese sauce is cashews, which we've talked a lot about already, why we use cashews in a lot of cheese substitutes. And I got these soaking. They've been soaking overnight, and we talked about that as well. First and foremost, for me, the most important thing is soaking helps make them blend a little bit easier because it softens them, but it also can make some of the nutrition a bit more bioavailable. Susan Rebecca Thomas says, hi Meg, I sure do enjoy your cooking live demos. You are a natural. Thank you, Susan. I enjoy them too. I have super fun. Sandy Manning joining us from down under Australia. Super cool. It's Monday in Australia, correct? We're just about. So I'm going to add my cashews into my Vitamix. So this is the base of our cheese sauce. Dun, 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 dun. The next ingredient we're going to add in, that's kind of in the way, isn't it? Over here. Next is going to be a bunch of flavoring. So we've talked a little bit about nutritional yeast in the past. Oof, so yummy. It smells like stinky blue cheese. This is an inactive yeast that's just really used for flavoring. Some of them, some nutritional yeast that you get is super high in B12. It's a good source of plant-based protein. So we're going to add in some of that, and that's going to help with our cheesy flavor. My recipe calls for a 1/4 cup. I'm doing about double. I'm going to put in about a 1/2 cup, maybe a little bit more. Nutritional yeast. 3 tablespoons of fresh lemon. So again, I'm doubling it. So I've already gone ahead and squeezed my lemon juice. So I'm going to add in that. 1½ teaspoons of fine salt. I'm just going to grab a spoonful from over here. Plop that in. Hemp hearts, optional. I've talked about these, I think, oh, sorry guys, I keep falling off the screen. I've been talking about that in a few other episodes as well. So these are just some hemp hearts. They're hulled. Great source of omega-3s, good source of fiber, plant-based protein, but I'm putting them in here because they make things extra creamy. You're seeing an awful lot of the ceiling right now that I don't think you really need to see. Does that feel better? Does that feel better? I think it feels better to me. So where was I? Hemp seed. Okay, and then we've got a mix of spices here. So in here I have chili powder. This is garlic powder, not garlic salt, garlic powder, and then cumin. So I'm going to toss those in. I'm also going to add in some fresh garlic. The recipe calls for 1 clove. I'm adding in 3 really small ones because I'm doubling it. A bit of mustard. So this is some grainy mustard. You could use yellow mustard. You could use your favorite mustard. That's just going to give a nice zingy touch to our vegan mac and cheese. Again, this is a mac and cheese, the cheese sauce for mac and cheese. So double check that I have everything. I don't have any turmeric in there. I didn't measure out turmeric. Do we have any turmeric? We don't have turmeric, but I got, oh yes we do. I'm going to borrow some of this. So this is some organic turmeric powder. We're going to put in, how much does my recipe call for? This is mostly just for color, to make it look like cheese sauce. So I know a teaspoon, I'm going to add in double that. That's our cheese color. Mustard, water, paprika for garnish. And that, my friends, is it. So we just need water. So 3/4 cups for one recipe. This is a double, so I'm going to add in a little bit more than that. Get started. Perfect. And then, pardon me, I'm going to put this on the machine again. I'm going to rinse the strawberry out from in there. And here we go. Delicious, guys. So I'm going to give this a little bit of a taste. Again, it's because it's nut-based, and this Vitamix isn't the newest. I think the motor's kind of going on it. It's kind of so good. So good. So I'm going to add another stir. I'm going to put that right back onto the blender for a minute. Crazy with the blending because I want to have a little bit of texture. And then all you need to do is take your noodles, which these are some gluten-free noodles. Sorry, this isn't my kitchen, like I said, so I'm a little bit confused about where everything is. These are gluten-free noodles that I've gone ahead and washed this morning. Just going to give them a little bit of a shake down. Run them under hot water again. And then all you need to do is add your sauce to your noodles. I mean, could it get any easier, guys? Could it get any easier? So I'm just taking a little handful of the noodles. Your hands are your best tools, guys. Don't be afraid of using them. Put in a little bit of cheese sauce. Give it a little stirry stir. Oh my God. So amazing. And then, if you recall, last week we made vegan Parmesan. So I'm just going to take, and this was just almonds, cashews, garlic powder, nutritional yeast, and a bit of sea salt. And we put it in the Vitamix blender. Put a little bit of that on top. Oh my gosh, so yummy. Then we can add, oh, I have this amazing organic, it's a sriracha seasoning. So it's a powdered blend that tastes like sriracha. I just picked it up at the store yesterday, so it's brand new, hence why I've got paper still on the top. But you could garnish with paprika. Oh, yes! But I'm going to garnish with this because it's amazing, and a little bit of spice with your mac and cheese. Why wouldn't we? Oh my God, look at that. Come on. Tell me that doesn't look like mac and cheese, yo. So good. So there you have it, my friends. Dun, 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 dun. How fast were we today? So fast. 2:30. I think this was the shortest live I've ever done. And we made our cheesecake. We talked about the vegan Parmesan. We talked about making date paste. You could, by the way, the date paste, I made it with dates today. You could do it with raisins. You could do it with any dried fruit. I quite often do pineapple paste. If you've been to Rhythm, you've seen that we always have dehydrated pineapples on hand. I quite often make pineapple paste and use that as a solid sweetener for different things, and even just for decorating plates and things like that. So we did that. We made this vegan cheese sauce, which is incredible, and it would freeze really well, and it's going to be what I'm serving for dinner tonight over gluten-free pasta. Just like this. You can chop up some kale to make, you know, if you feel like you need a little bit of something green in there, but this is all whole food goodness, you guys. Super good. Family will love it. I will let you know how it all pans out, and if the guys that I'm feeding here, guys and gals, if they enjoy it. And that, my friends, is all we have today. Let's see, what are we doing next week? Next week I'm going to be back at Rhythmia, and we are doing... Oh, next week is February 11th, so we're going to be making love in the kitchen. It is a celebration of all things love and sex and Valentine's Day. But we're really just going to be making things with chocolate and aphrodisiac ingredients. Let's be real. There's going to be nothing R-rated happening on my Facebook Live. But tune in, 2 p.m. Costa Rica time next Sunday for Making Love in the Kitchen themed Facebook Live. Don't forget to watch tomorrow night for Dr. Jeff. And again, next Friday, Christian will be live with some breathworking tips and tricks. And Jerry again on Saturday with his About Your Miracle segment. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed the recipes. I was just going to walk you guys outside one last time, but I think I'll keep you there. I've already made you dizzy enough. Real quick check. Maggie Ordana says, what F recipe? That's awesome. I don't know what that means, F recipe. I hope that made you fantastic. But Maggie, I'm going to post the recipes in the comments after the live is done so that you have them and you can try them at home. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to end it right now and call it a day and say, love you all. Have a beautiful Sunday fun day. And we'll see you next week. Mwah.